Okay, I want to be honest with you right here because I think you deserve that. If you are happy with the music you're writing, if nothing feels missing, if you are not stuck, if you feel good about your sound, you can honestly stop watching right now. This video would be a waste of your time. But if something feels limited, if you keep writing the same kind of progressions, and if you feel like you're borrowing other people's moves more than finding your own, then what I'm about to share might be exactly what you've been looking for. So stay with me. Today, I want to answer a question I get pretty often, and honestly, it's a fair one. Do I actually need interval magic as a composer? And what even is that? Honestly, if you've never heard of interval magic before, that question makes total sense. Most composers haven't. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the most important things I have taken away from working with interval-based composition for 20 years now. And I will let you decide for yourself whether it's something you need or not. So let's start with the problem. Here is something I notice a lot. Composers, talented ones, who sound almost identical to each other. And it's not because they are copying anyone. Well, maybe they are, but that's not the point for today here. So it's actually because most of us went through the same kind of music education. We learned the same scales and the same chord progressions and the same harmonic moves, essentially the same rules. And when everyone learns the same toolkit, they tend to produce similar results. The music is often technically fine. Sometimes it's actually really good, but it's hard to tell apart. Now, if that doesn't bother you at all, that's completely valid. But if you have ever finished a piece and thought, well, this sounds like something I've already heard 100 times, or if you have struggled to find your own voice as a composer, that's what we are going to talk about today. So, what is interval magic? Let me contrast this with what most of us already know, diatonic thinking, which is the standard approach, and it starts from a scale or a key. You work within that key, you build chords from it, and you follow the logic of that tonal system. Okay, it's a great system, in fact, and it's not going away, but it has a ceiling. And intervallic thinking starts somewhere different. Instead of starting from a scale, you start from the interval itself, its sound, its quality, the feeling it creates. And you let that guide the music. This isn't arbitrary, by the way. It's grounded in something real, which is the harmonic series. And the harmonic series is basically the physics of sound. There's a lot of literature available on the harmonic series, so I won't go into that right now in detail, but it shows us how intervals naturally want to move. Here is something that surprised me when I first started learning this. You don't have to choose between interval thinking and diatonic thinking. They actually work together, and you can move freely between both. Now you can write something very diatonic and then step into intervallic territory for a moment and come back. It's not one or the other. And what that means practically is this. You can add a small amount of interval thinking and immediately feel a difference in your workflow. Or you can go deeper and really let it change the way you hear and write music. Both are valid, and everything you already know stays useful. This only adds to it. One thing that really opened things up for me, and I want to make sure I say this clearly here, is that interval magic works in two directions. It works horizontally in melodic lines and melodies, and it works vertically. But here's the thing, a chord is just one kind of a vertical structure. And when you start thinking in intervals instead of chord names, you realize there are sounds available to you that chord names can't even describe, because chord names are categories and intervals are relationships, and relationships are richer than categories. The same interval can appear in a melody or in a harmony. That flexibility, that's the real power here. Now I want to show you what this actually looks like. Inside our community, the circle of interval magicians, we explore what we call spells. And a spell is an interval-based composition technique. Each one has a specific intention, a specific sound, and a specific way to apply it. And in just a moment, we are going to listen to a piece composed by my business partner and dear friend, Thomas Jace Jones. And after listening to what he did, TC will even walk us through his decision making. And that's, to me at least, the important part. If you listened carefully to what he says, you probably will notice something. TC keeps making choices based on how intervals sound and feel to him. Not so much about what scale he's in or what notes are allowed, so to speak. That's what interval thinking looks like in action.
I took this and just said, well, I'm going to write a lot of lines, and I'm just going to think of the voice as I'm writing it. And so that's kind of what I did. I mean, I just wanted this guy. He's an oboe. I like that sound, so I just had him. I didn't even worry about the notes. I wanted to come back here to this guy, and the same thing with this guy. I wanted him to come back to this little phrase. So I'm just picking stuff that creates a form, because originally this was just a B flat and an F down here.
Yeah.
And, if I wanted to use something, I didn't. In this case, the D, that's my D up there, just a little 16th note. So, that's basically how I looked at it. So I took what you gave as the gathering, because I looked at that as just a gathering of a collection of horizontal lines, but made from vertical structures. After I saw that, I thought, okay, if I make the change on every bar, it starts sounding like an exercise. Because rarely does music stay on one bar and then switch and then switch and switch. So I just gave it 4 bars. I said, okay, that's challenging. Let me see what I can do in 4 bars to it. And a lot of it ends up being the rhythms that you choose. You try to get nice little rhythms going. See, this little interval, it keeps coming up all the time. And the thing about it is that when it comes up, it always reminds you of how it started. It's here. And so that's this guy basically, just 5. And I figured they're interchangeable, so I interchanged them sometimes. Then I just put some frilly stuff on. Sometimes I'm changing exactly the distance of the interval, because that's what happens when you get connected to the creative pool. You start off with this, and you end up with this. And that's because the looser you get, the more you get. And, the wetter you get in the creative pool, so to speak. And so the spell is magic, and works really great. My only advice is don't let the one structure per bar be anything other than your first gathering. And then, because and by the time I got done with this, I didn't know how long you wanted me to make it. because I thought I was pushing the envelope a little bit with not keeping it one bar each. And but when I did spell two, I wrote it a lot longer because I just thought, this is what I'm getting from the spell. There's no exact path because it's you and you're connected to the creative pool. My job is to write something with that as the seed of the idea. That's what it is. That's a magic spell seed. Now, you can water the seed or you can put it out in a drought. I chose to water it right away by stretching it out and kind of getting a form lengthwise in my bars. But I don't think you have to do that because you could just take the first change and just keep writing on it for a while until you're done with that idea and then add the next one. But what I would say is use these spells to extract on a lot of different vectors. Like one vector is just the music and the structure and that. The other vector, and what I consider really important, is if you have a section, it really gets you intimate with the section. So if you have flute, oboe, clarinet, and bassoon, you find out, okay, if I put an accent on this, can I use brass accents on woodwinds? Here's the answer for everybody. Yes, you can use brass accents on strings as well. It's not just for brass. You can use all that, and they'll all read it. They'll read it. And so I learned a lot. Like certain instruments take up too much space if you start using accents on them, like the contrabassoon. If you put it's already a quacky instrument. So if you put accents on it all over the place. So the way I tried it in the next spell, which was two, I had a little pulse going. I put the accents on the end. I thought of it as a hi-hat, like a backbeat. So what happens is if you just confine yourself on the instruments you're using and free yourself from the form and free yourself to experiment, you'll learn a lot about the instruments and you'll write a lot of music. And then after, you can expand it to a big form, a concert piece if you want, because this is really a perfect way to get your gathering chops happening. Like you can do it fast, and the spells are magical.
That is one of these big ideas from the regular spells. They are supposed to help you get something going. Like if you have no idea and you don't even know what to whistle, let's say, you don't know a starting point, then go to one of these regular spells and they will show you plenty of very fertile starting points that you just have to water, really. And that is exactly what you did with these 4-bar per structure.
The spell, if you just played the piano part in the spell, you didn't write anything. You didn't even try to develop it. You just listened to it. And you really listen to it. You'll hear some magic and it'll give you an idea. And then, like, even before you lay out anything, listen to it enough times to start getting you into the magic of it. And then you can lay out, okay, well, I like the first two vertical structures. I think they could repeat. I think they could repeat a couple of times, And so then you get the two bars out of the one, develop it, and then when you listen to it, you say, wow, I actually could get 4 bars because I could take that and put it in different instruments and change just a few notes. And so it doesn't sound like I just cut and pasted, but it's actually tasteful and it's crafted, and see if I can get 4 bars out of it. So that's kind of what I do. And I know you're going to be ending up playing this talk we're having for some of the guys. So I'll just say, it doesn't matter how long you've been composing music. You always think you don't have any talent. And then when you get into it, you forget about that and you start feeling you just are free of time, So that's the whole thing. So I just say the next time you feel like, oh, I don't even know why I'm a composer. Why am I even trying? I just think of TC saying that's what he goes through. And you got to just kind of laugh at yourself and say, okay, I recognize this monster. Get the hell out of my life.
Wow.
I'm not going to think about it,
All right, that was a ton of information, I know. And if what you heard today resonates with you, if something clicked, then the next step is simple. You can join the Circle of Interval Magicians. And inside, you will get the full instructions for spell 1.1 plus 40 more spells. And the Circle is a community of composers who are all exploring this together. We work on pieces, we share feedback, we go deep on the things that most music education never touches. The link is in the description below. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope this gave you something useful. See you inside the circle or in another video. Take care and bye for now.